Can I please have a motion to reconvene public meeting? All in favor? Motion carries, aye. Mylene, can you start the Pledge of Allegiance, lead us? And then a moment of silence for our men and women fighting overseas and at home. Thank you. Will the district clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Murphy? Mrs. Mallon? Present. Mrs. Kennedy? Mrs. Augulus? Dr. Adams? Mrs. Napolitano-Ferno? Mr. Garcia? Mr. Kolahifar?
Present.
Mr. Hauser?
Present.
Mrs. Poppy?
Present.
And myself, the district clerk.
No changes to the meeting agenda. Board motion, can I please have a motion to authorize the board president and/or board vice president to call a recess as needed during this meeting without requiring any additional board vote?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. Motion so carries. Can I please have a motion to accept the minutes of the September 23rd, 2022 Board of Education meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Can I please have a motion to accept the minutes of the October 11th Board of Education meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Can I please have a motion to accept the minutes of the October 14th, 2022 Board of Education meeting? Are there any questions? All in favor? Motion, aye, motion so carries. Calling for a motion and a second to approve the second reading of the adoption of the policies 5225 revised student personal expression, 6640 inventories, 6640.1 capital asset accounting.
Motion.
All in favor? Okay.
We sat with
Can
Reza
you put your
and
mics
Jesse.
on?
Oh, okay. So you guys looked this over, any questions, any concerns?
We did not.
All right, thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Motion so carries. Discussion items for tonight, student government report. Do we have somebody from the student government who can speak? Welcome.
Charlotte D. Oh, my name is Charlotte D. Simone. I am your student government representative this year.
Hi, and I'm Marissa Freeman. I'm your student government president and another Board of Ed representative.
So we have a lot to cover. So first, we had homecoming weekends. It was a great success. The theme was Battle of the Bands. Some of the bands that were represented were Queen, AC/DC, the Beatles, and the Spice Girls. Also corresponding with homecoming, we had our Spirit Week, which was Pajama Day, band t-shirts, Throwback Day, and Red and White Day. And there was a lot of Connecticut pride that day, lots of lovely colors. So we had our pep rally. It went really well this year, a great comeback, especially after not having one after COVID. It was a great, I just like having it because we didn't have things earlier in our high school career. We had a wonderful marching band and our kick line and color guards, so they did amazing. Our spirit teams were really involved, really dedicated. And during the parade, we had wonderful performances and beautiful floats by all of the classes, so good job to them. We would like to thank members of the Board of Ed and also the high school administration for being judges and for coming and grading us all. The order in which we all scaled was juniors, seniors, sophomores, and freshmen, but I would like to point out that the seniors only lost by 1 point, so we were close. We had a wonderful turnout at the game, great school pride again, and we won the game, so go boys. And I would like to thank the Piscatellis for arranging the beautiful Grucci fireworks show that we had after the game. And overall, it just went really well. The next student government event that we had was Safe Halloween. This is a yearly tradition that we hold at the high school. We had about 500 kids show up, so it was just a great turnout. Always really great to see all the little kids and their smiles. We had great volunteers from all across all different grades of the high school. They came out, they dressed up, they gave out candy to all the little kids. They took time out of their weekend, and we really appreciate them for that. We also used this event to kickstart our yearly food drive. So we asked that people bring in canned goods, and we got bags and bags of canned goods. That was really amazing to see the community come together and donate. And hopefully what we are going to be doing is we are going to be having the food drive, but as like a class competition between like homerooms. So we're hoping that that will really get people to donate to the food banks. So overall, it went really well, and the next event that we're going to be having is Winter Wonderland. Spectacular. And that's not until December. So we're going to be working on that. Thank you.
Thank you. We were happy we were able to be there, and all of us, it was actually all 5 of us, for judging with the superintendent. And we thank you guys for the invite, and I have to tell you, we went to, actually, myself, Marisol, Brian, and Mylin all came to Safe Halloween, and it was adorable, and thank you all for what you do. Next up, we have a social media presentation and anti-trafficking. Okay, we're moving on to social media presentation and anti-trafficking. Suffolk County Police Department, Human Trafficking Unit, and ECLI. Thank you for being here.
Hello, first I would like to say welcome to all of our attendees tonight. My name is Laura Mullen, and I'm the Anti-Trafficking Service Advocate over at ECLI Vibes, as well as the co-founder and president of their Human Trafficking Survivor Advisory Board. Today's agenda, we are going to talk about who we are a little bit, how we can stay safe on the internet, what is human trafficking, what is happening locally, what is online exploitation, and a closer look at online exploitation and what tactics are used to target our children. There will be a visual how it might look, and the terms will be defined. We have some local facts, warning signs, and what we can do, and how we can begin the conversation, and questions and answer and questions afterwards. If you could just hold them till then, thank you. Tonight's content might be triggering. Please, if you need to exit the room, you can get water, fresh air, and return when you feel comfortable. This content is not an easy topic to discuss and may be difficult to listen to. Who we are. We are SCATI, the Suffolk County Anti-Trafficking Initiative, and within SCATI, there's about 34 agencies that have come together on Long Island, including our Suffolk County Police Department and HSI, FBI, and our grassroots nonprofit organizations to really address the problem that we have here on Long Island. A lot of us are not even aware that there is a problem on Long Island. However, there is. It's not what you think is the movie Taken, like when he's saving his daughter and she got kidnapped from an airport or a hotel room. That's not what we see here on Long Island, and PD will explain a little bit later a bit more about that. Is the internet always safe? What benefits does the internet have? It has social connection, a sense of community. We have access to knowledge, peer support, but there are things that are negatives, right, from the internet, like too much screen time. Your children may be speaking to strangers who could be dangerous. You're disconnecting from real life and having actual human social interactions. Virtual interactions, can lead to risky in-person interactions, peer exploitation, and cyberbullying. One second. What is human trafficking? Human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. Every year, millions of men and women and children are trafficked worldwide, including right here in the United States, right here on Long Island, and right here in your backyards. A few local facts. In March of 2018, the Human Trafficking Investigations Unit was created. Since that time, they have identified over 400 victims of sex trafficking here in Suffolk County. 95% of them are born and raised right here in Suffolk. Most of what we see in regards to recruitment and grooming occurs on the internet on different social media sites. Sometimes the recruitment can take 1 day, 1 week, or a few months. Just give me a second. What is online exploitation? Online sexual exploitation of children includes recruiting, live streaming, consuming a child of sexual abuse material, formerly known as child pornography, and coercing and blackmailing children for sexual purposes. And the thing to remember here is a lot of time your children are talking to people that they may think may be their age, however they're not. And it doesn't matter of what age, if the child is under 18 years old, it is considered a crime regardless of consent or not. For instance, you have a scenario of a girl who may have met somebody somewhere in the US, and it's like, oh, I met this cool girl online. She is really sweet and invited me to meet up. She's an influencer, senior high school. She's even going to be a lawyer just like I want to be. But is that true? Is this person even that person? Does this person want to be a lawyer? No, a lot of times these people will listen to whatever your children is saying to them and then use that as a way to get comfortable with them and to gain their trust. So they will just say they want to be a lawyer too, or having issues just like them, just to kind of start to gain a relationship. At times, we cannot distinguish between real and fake. For the next two slides, I would like you to be like detectives. I would like you to tell me if the two profiles that you see are real or fake. What makes you think if it's real or fake? What stands out? What are some things that you think a youth might find attractive? Youth, take a look at the profiles. Would you say that this is a friend request that you might possibly accept? Why or why not? Are these real or fake? So she's gonna show you guys the profiles, and feel free if you guys can tell me what you see right now that seems to be fake up here that sometimes our children may not notice. So for the first picture, that is a famous actress, and our children may have not known this at the time, so that this catfisher is actually using her as their profile picture. And then in the next one, we have he's actually a famous soccer player, and he's saying, want to work, I can help you, and that's it. And so people are like, oh, I want to make money, and then he could say, oh, I have a modeling gig for you or something, and oftentimes that leads to girls being trafficked, saying going to the city for this whatever professional professional makeup, what is it? What's the word? What is it? Yeah, like a ghostie. Yes, excuse me, like a ghostie, and then it turns out not to be that at all. First, tactics of grooming. The process that traffickers use to win over their victims' trust in order to control and sexually exploit them. Traffickers and abusers prey on vulnerabilities, which is one thing I mentioned before about, let's say you're having an issue and you tell that trafficker that, or that person that over the internet, or whoever you may meet that, and they can actually use that as a way to exploit you. Intimate information about the child helps to exploit them. Virtual friendships greatly shorten the amount of time required to connect with and control a young person. Also, I mentioned before catfishing, which we all have seen that show by Neve on MTV, which is a real thing. That's why he met the show. He had thought he was meeting this beautiful young girl his age when it turned out to be the young girl's mother, and she was very up in age and didn't live where she said or wasn't rich like she said, and that's where he decided to make the show to get, raise awareness that this actually is occurring. Catfishing is when an exploiter creates a false online identity to deceive a victim into developing a relationship, often romantic. May offer opportunities for modeling, traveling, performing in music videos, gaining fame and wealth. Prevalent on social media as well as gaming. So this can also happen when your teenagers or kids are having conversations with people over their games that they're playing. And applications that offer chat options. They may pretend to be a person of the same age as the target. Tactic action taking inappropriate text messages. The transmission of a sexually explicit image via any digital device can happen between a child and a stranger, but also happens with people known to the child, including other children. And that's something that we must explain to our teenagers and our children, that is never okay and it is never safe to send a X-rated picture of yourself to anyone. Once it's out there, and you can never take it back, right? This has actually become normalized by our teens and young adults, but once an image is online, it is nearly impossible to remove. And it also can have serious legal consequences. It is a crime for an individual to create, distribute, or view child sexual abuse material. How far will a trafficker push? It is important to always remember that traffickers will coerce children for sexual purposes. The coercion is a way for the trafficker to see how far they can push the child to do whatever they want them to do. Each time the trafficker will push a little bit more. Will the child take a selfie without a shirt on, in her underwear, without her underwear, without her underwear? Unfortunately, the child doesn't understand the path they are traveling down. This is all a part of manipulation. We have to continue to have these hard conversations with our kids. Let them know how dangerous it is to send pictures that are inappropriate or in sexual nature. Not only because the picture can live on digitally forever, but there is a reason the requests are being made, and it's not in the best interest of the child. It's dangerous. A picture or video is worth 1,000 words, right? Sextortion. Abuser wants to punish the victim and can use the pictures against them. Sextortion is a form of online blackmail. When a catfish or other predator threatens to spread inappropriate images of a victim, a child who had been persuaded to send one image of a video can be coerced to send many more, because that person will say, oh, well, if you don't send me more, then I'm going to leak this one out. I'm going to send this one. Image-based sexual abuse was formerly known as revenge porn, and now is more accurately known as image-based sexual abuse occurs when someone publicly shares private pictures that had been meant for only them. So it doesn't matter if you're 12 or 14 or 15, it is illegal to share those pictures at any age. How do we stop image-based sexual abuse? Child sex trafficking occurs when someone under 18 years old is bought or sold for sexual purposes. Children are victims of sex trafficking when they engage in sex for any other value of food or shelter, including labor trafficking, which I speak a lot about sexual trafficking, but there's also labor trafficking that does happen here right on Long Island. Traffickers take advantage of vulnerable people. Internet makes trafficking easier and less visible. Child trafficking is a crime under both federal and state law. About 80% of victims we have interviewed, 80% of victims that have been interviewed stated they were recruited and sex trafficked around the ages of 13 and 14 years old. That's 80% of the victims interviewed right here in Suffolk County. The victims truly believe they are in a loving relationship. Suffolk PD has arrested over 60 traffickers since they started this unit, and all the traffickers were operating here in Suffolk County, preying on the kids and teenagers. Warning signs. It is important to know the common signs of trafficking and sexual exploitation. There is no red flag to spot trafficking, and professionals in anti-trafficking fields typically look for multiple indicators when working with victims. So there can be many indicators when you're working with somebody who has or is in the life, as well as drug use. There can be a child that's coming home and has their nails done, their hair done, they're 14 years old, you know they don't have a job, you know that you don't give them enough allowance to purchase these things, and you kind of have to ask yourself, what friend, and oh, my friend Jennifer is getting it. Well, who's Jennifer, and how does Jennifer, and how can she afford to get your hair and your nails done, right? So that's a question you have to ask yourself. Or, oh, my friend bought me new sneakers, right? So always dig a little deeper, ask those questions. There's a lot of trauma and stuff that happens that can also lead to a victim of trafficking, from vulnerabilities as problems at home, custody battles, divorce, death, or incarceration of a family member, having an alcoholic parent, a difficulty making friends in school, failing grades, low self-esteem, low confidence, you name it, it's pretty much on the list. The ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experience, ACEs includes all types of abuse and neglect, as well as parental mental illness, substance use, divorce, incarceration, domestic violence. A landmark study in the 1990s found significant relationship between the number of ACEs a person experienced. For instance, I have checked off every single one of those boxes in my lifetime. Unfortunately, now I'm working through and trying to heal all those things, but that's why I come out here to speak to you guys, is so that you can know how to help your children heal. If they have one adverse childhood experience, we don't want them to keep having more and more. We want to stop generational cycles of trauma from occurring, and we want everybody to be able to live and thrive healthy? Yeah, so, all right, excuse me. Suffolk County Anti-Trafficking Unit. Now we were going to have JP and Sergeant and Lieutenant Massana come up here, and they're going to share some of the great work Suffolk PD is doing to combat trafficking here in our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us. My name is Frank Massana. I'm a detective lieutenant with the police department in charge of the Human Trafficking Unit. I know we only have a little period of time in your board meeting. Again, thank you for having us. Human trafficking is not necessarily a comfortable topic to talk about often, and it's commendable that you are bringing it to your board meeting to kind of bring it to the forefront of people's minds. The biggest thing, and I just want a couple minutes to tell you kind of what we see here, because when we started out, probably when it was introduced, you hear human trafficking and most people think, some girl chained to a radiator, or women and children being smuggled across the border in a box truck. And I'm not going to say that doesn't happen in this country, of course, but here in Suffolk County, we see a very different form of human trafficking than that. What we see is much more subtle. What we see really is kind of what Laura was describing, is a relationship that starts out as a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And we do presentations on this a lot. We tend to do a much longer presentation, and this is probably, I don't want to go too long with this, but the most important thing is that mostly it's a crime against females. Almost every girl that we deal with has some form of childhood sexual abuse. It makes them a very good target for the trafficker. They have rough backgrounds sometimes. But the most important thing with them is that they all traveled our hallways. Most of the girls we deal with are from Suffolk County. They're born and raised here. They're not from another country. They're not, we're not smuggled across the border. They're our daughters, our nieces, our relatives. And bringing it into school is important because every one of them came through these hallways. So that means teachers interacted with them, guidance counselors, other students, and other parents. And honestly, if enough people start to kind of recognize the signs like Laura talked about, I'm hoping that we never see the girls. That would be the best thing for us. And also, just to give you, for those who don't know, Suffolk County is one of the few, I'm going to say in the country, but definitely in the state, that has a dedicated human trafficking unit within the police department. The only thing that the investigators in this unit pick up are cases involving human trafficking. Like Laura said, we've arrested over 62 people for trafficking-related offenses. Prior to the introduction of the unit, there were only 2 convictions for sex trafficking in Suffolk County. So they've made an impact. They do a very good job. And that's really it. I want to introduce one of my detectives, JP O'Connor. He's going to just go over a couple cases. Again, not to take up too much of your time, but I think they're important to just show you that it's here, it's in our backyard, and kind of what we're doing about it. So thank you.
Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. Being an investigator who works on cases like this, it's a lot. It's very easy to, when you work cases with human trafficking and you talk to these individuals, it's very easy to, from an outsider's point of view, it's very easy to victim blame. It's hard to understand how these individuals get into these situations. It's very easy to say, well, you put yourself there. You started doing drugs. You put yourself in this position. You did this, you did that. This presentation is a bit short, but we like to talk about how these individuals get into these situations that have led them down these roads. Empathy is everything when you're an investigator on in these cases. Being able to understand where these individuals are coming from and how to work with them and how to help them, it's a lot, and it's really important. So when we talk to the public like this, we really want them to understand how important empathy is as well. These aren't people on the side of the road begging for change. These are individuals that are in the same neighborhoods as you, walking these exact hallways. It's important that people understand that. I emphasize that big time because it really, it's something I want you guys to understand. And it's something I had to learn as well, becoming an investigator in this unit. My eyes were opened up big time when I started this. It was definitely one of the most rewarding units that I've worked in, beyond rewarding. And it's also one of the most heartbreaking units that I've worked in. I've been in for a few years now, and we've lost 20 some odd victims to drugs and other things. It's very sad. But the ones that make it through, it's really amazing and very powerful to see them come through and have great lives. So I'm going to talk to you guys real quick about a couple of cases that we've had, okay? Because the cases are always super interesting, and I've already shuffled my pages, so I've lost my place. So bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys about one that happened here in Ronkonkoma. It's called the Roadway Inn case. 17-year-old, along with a 12-year-old, left a group home where they were living. They were picked up by 2 men and driven to the roadway on Vets Highway in Ronkonkoma. While they're there, give me 1 second. There we go. Bear with me, folks. I'm a professional, I swear. All right, so 17-year-old takes a 12-year-old. They leave the group home where they were living. They're picked up by 2 men and driven to the roadway inn on Vets Highway, right here in Ronkonkoma. Most of you got to know where this place is, all right? At least know where Vets Highway is, right? Right in your backyard. The men were trying to push the 12-year-old into prostitution. What we learned was that the 17-year-old had been working for this person, for this guy, for the past about 4 years. During this time, she was raped by him. She was forced into prostitution. She was forced to live this life. What happened now is she's 17 and she's too old. So he gets her to recruit someone younger. And she does. So she recruits the 12-year-old. They're at the hotel. 12-year-old becomes uncomfortable when she starts to realize that something's weird. Something weird is happening. This guy's trying to convince her to, do something she doesn't want to. She grabs a cell phone off the counter, off one of the tables. She gets into the bathroom. She barricades the bathroom. And she doesn't know who to call. It's not her cell phone. She's able to remember one of her previous foster parents' phone numbers. And she calls the foster mom and tells her, I'm at the roadway. I think it's called the roadway. This is what's happening. I need help. Foster mom calls 911. There's 2 roadways. There's one in Huntington, and there's one in Ronkonkoma. 911 gets called. Cops go to the one in Huntington first. Now they're looking for, we've got a missing girl who's stuck in a hotel room, this, that, whatever. They figure out pretty quick that she's not at that one. She's got to be at the other one. But time is ticking, time is going, time is going. Boom, boom, boom. The police now respond to the one in Ronkonkoma. During this time period, the two guys were like, hey, we realize what's happening. They scoop up everything out of the room. They scoop up the girl. They throw her in the back of the car, and they're about to leave. They're in the parking lot about to leave when patrol pulls up. Patrol pulls up nose to nose, and the patrol has two options. I could go to the hotel clerk and start asking the questions like, hey, who's checked into the rooms? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? Or I could stop the car, and I could ask, what are you doing? What's going on here? Thank God, luckily, this officer was smart. He stopped the car. As he gets out of the car, he's walking up, and he sees a little 12-year-old hand pop up in the back seat. And it was the girl. They're able to stop him. From there, they're able to put together everything. Let's see what happened to these guys, because I forget. Anyway, the guys get arrested. They face a fury of counts. The charges are, unbelievable. You have to understand also when we charge people with these, with human trafficking, the charges, the next step up, these are B felonies, right? The next step up is crimes like murder. These guys are facing double digits when they go to jail. So, as for any other cases, I think that one's really the most important one that I wanted to talk to you guys because it was literally right here. And when I tell you that we're in every town, we're in every single town. All the good ones, all the bad ones, all the upper income, all the middle income, all the lower income. I can't emphasize to you guys enough that this is happening in your towns. This is happening with the kids that you are passing in the hallways, the kids that you see that your kids are playing with, okay? It's happening everywhere. So it's not to scare everybody, but we just want people to be aware of what's happening. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys giving me a second.
Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for all the information.
I have a question. Am I allowed to ask a question?
Go ahead.
First of all, thank you for your time and for all that information. I've seen a couple of videos online for like a heads up, I guess, for children that are abducted. Is this a common sign where they wave their hand from behind them, kind of like saying hi? Is that a thing, or is that just a social media ploy?
I'll talk about this real quick, just because I feel bad when people see these things. You get a lot of these Facebook posts that get forwarded around like, well, the van pulls up to you, and if they've got a zip tie on the mirror, and they've got this, or they've got the flag hanging out, please don't fall for any of that nonsense, okay? But I will say that be aware of your surroundings like anyone else, but don't fall for the things that kind of get passed around in these email chains or the Facebook posts, things like that, because they drive us a little nuts. Because, no. So what you are asking, I've never heard of something like that. I've never dealt with something like that. Our unit works with we are the kidnap investigations team. So, again, I don't want you guys to think that kids are getting scooped up at playgrounds and being forced into a lifestyle of being trafficked. It's not like that. It's more of a grooming that occurs, again, in young women, mostly young women that we deal with, that are in vulnerable positions because of past trauma, things of that sort, and they get themselves into these situations or are forced into these situations. So I don't want you guys to think about like the stories of like, well, the van pulled up next to the car. If you ever see something like that, yeah, have your wits about you, be smart, But that's not really what we're dealing with over here in Suffolk County. Does it happen somewhere? Sure, just not something we're dealing with over here.
Thank you. Thank you for.
Sure.
It would be for you or the young man at our podium. But a parent brought to my attention, and I think we touched on it a little bit, about Erin's Law. So I don't know if either one of you want to sort of kind of elaborate on that.
Which law was that again?
Erin?
Also, thank you for calling me a young man. I appreciate it. I don't feel young these days. What was the law? I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, so the Erin's Law was passed this year or last year that school curriculum should be beginning to teach human trafficking, sexual exploitation, social media safety, and sexual abuse in the home and different subjects to inform our children in school. about what is not good, like safe touches, different things. Brentwood School has already picked up the curriculum. I actually did the curriculum with them over the summer with ECPAC USA, and they work with the schools, if you guys heard of ECPAC USA, for situations like this. So we did the curriculum, they've picked it up. We really are trying to get it in all of the schools, because not only just for human trafficking situations, but for a child that is going through abuse at home that doesn't know that they're even going through abuse, and it's something to save lives, right? That's what we're here for. So that's what we want to do, and it's important for a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old may not even know that daddy's touching them wrong or uncle's touching. They may not understand what's happening in the bathtub is not supposed to be happening to them, right? And it's not to give the teachers and the education more and the school department more of a responsibility, might you add. For instance, we've made it into the Brentwood to where if you guys need help, there's somebody that you can reach out to. There's counseling, there's people that you can speak to too, because we don't want to put more work on your backs, but we want to save our children, and we want everybody to live happy and healthy. And how do we do that, right? By a village. It takes a village to raise one. So that's why we really need to adopt this program throughout all of our school districts, not just for trafficking, but for all the other things and trauma and situations that our children go through on a day-to-day basis that they may not even know they're going through, or you may not even know they're going through, or they don't know who to speak with or who to talk to about these things.
Thank you so much for all your information. Moving on to district-wide food service, Whitson's. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Good evening. How are you tonight? My name is Christine Kunman. I am the district manager from Whitson's Culinary Group, and I have with me Christine Miller. She is the director on site here, and Nicole, who is actually your high school cook. So it's nice to see you again. I know we were together a few weeks ago, a few of you, and we toured the high school, we toured Ronkonkoma, and we toured Cherokee. We were able to see service up and running, which was great, talk to a few students, taste some food, get some feedback, and make an action plan going forward, right? So a lot has happened since then, and we were invited back tonight, I guess, to give you an update, but really, I really want to try to educate you a little bit on what else is involved in truly running a school lunch program, right? Because people could walk through any cafeteria, restaurant, whatever it might be, fast food place, and say, how hard could it possibly be, right, to cook a hamburger, put it on a bun, put it on a tray, give a kid a chocolate milk, an apple, ring it up on a register? It takes experts. It truly, truly does. Just like it takes experts to run your Board of Education, your administration, your school buses, everything, right? So you have key people running your departments for you because they're the experts in that field. When school started this year, I stood at the bus stop, and for the first 3 weeks of school, I listened to parents complaining. God, why is the bus always late? How could it be late? It's the same driver. It's the same route. How could it possibly be late, right? But do you really think about what they have to do or what goes into that or what changed in their world? The bus changed, the route, maybe it did change, maybe it didn't. The kids changed, the parents wanted to change, the principal wanted to change. There was a bell schedule change. There was a drop-off location. There's a different bus, there's a different mechanic. There's a lot of different policies, procedures, and changes. It's the same thing with school lunch. So I could relate to that and try to explain to people and say, hey, they're experts, they know what they're doing, but everything changes. So we have to change with it, right? And so does school lunch. But you need to understand what goes into it first and how to run it before you can actually change it and make it better for everybody, right? So tonight I put together a PowerPoint just to give you a little insight on what it truly takes to run a school lunch operation. I'm not sure who's turning this. Oh, okay. So yeah, we can change. Thank you. There's a lot of information on that screen right now, so I have it here in front of me. But back in 2010, Michelle Obama put together the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act. And that was brand new. Nothing ever changed in school lunch for many, many years, right? But obesity was a factor, and somebody was going to make a change, and she did it. And for the better. Some people like it, some people don't. But it's a healthier plan for everybody. So we have to know all those rules and regulations that she put into place from 2010 all the way through what she enacted 5 years from now. And our program has to change with that. There's a meal pattern that you have to be compliant with when you serve a breakfast meal or a lunch meal. You have to be familiar with all of those components in that pattern. There's a nutrient analysis where you need a registered dietitian that can approve your menus and all the ingredients that you use to make up those meals that you serve to the students. There's rules offer versus serve. You can't just offer anything you want. You can't just serve whatever you want. Rules have to be followed for that as well. There's crediting. You can't just serve any type of chicken, any type of beef, any type of hamburger. It has to equal a certain amount of calories, fat, protein. And all that has to be procured by a certain department. Board of Health, Serve Safe certifications. The entire team has to serve safe food, right? You have to know those rules and regulations. And those have to be passed down to all the workers in the school. And they have to be certified as well. There's an entire recipe database that has to be created that you need to have access to. If you don't, God forbid, it doesn't meet the requirement, the nutrient analysis, or even any type of allergy that might affect one of the students. Production record compliance. All of this information has to go down on a piece of paper every single day. Nicole in the high school could serve 150 items a day, and every single day, every single item has to go down on a piece of paper, and a mathematical equation has to take place, and that's across all 10 schools. There's an administrative review. I think we had that last year, right? The administrative review? Oh, this year is coming up. Yes, we're in the middle of that now. Bob, we'll be working hands in hands on that. So the Child Nutrition Department from New York State is going to visit us. They're going to choose 2 or 3 schools, and they are going to audit the program in its entirety. Breakfast at the high school, lunch at the elementary and the middle schools, and they will look at every single recipe, label, buy American product. You know, I could fill 5 3-inch binders with the amount of information that we have to hand over to the state to show them that we are compliant in Connecticut with what we serve the students. There's safety training, right? We want every single worker in Connecticut to be safe. But who's giving you that information? We are. That's what we're here for. We're here to manage the food. We're here to manage safety. So we're going to pass that along to the employees of Connecticut as well. There's a government-based menu planning system that we use where we receive federal funds to keep the price low for the students. We also have to manage that program for you as well. I spoke about the allergies. I spoke about safety. There's also an online web-based nutritional analysis program as well for all the menus. This is just a small amount of what we bring to the table, not just what you see on the serving lines. Go to the next one. Thank you. This right here, just to show you a little snippet of what a meal pattern requirement is for the breakfast and lunch program. So there's 4 components in a breakfast, 5 components in a lunch. I won't go into major detail, but again, we're here to bring the expertise to you on how to read these patterns, how to comply with these patterns, how to make sure you receive the federal and state reimbursement for every single meal that you serve. Okay, so what else do we come with? We come with an entire corporation behind us. There's a procurement department that has competitive pricing that we pass along to you. We provide you with your order guides for all the vendors that bring you all the products. We have a purchase journal that we supply for you to regulate all of the purchases that come in. All of this is brought to you from your management company. There's usage reports, there's vendor feedback reports. We have an entire marketing division that also gives us the merchandising and the signage to use in the schools. Compliance reports for New York State that we have to keep posted in all of your schools. We have a guest chef program, which we'll talk about, Jackie, a little bit later, okay, which is something new and exciting and fun, which I'm hearing great things about. Any type of communication tools. Again, Whitson's provides that for you. Our route rating program, because we audit ourselves and we want to know where we are. Are we, giving you the best possible program? What else can we do? How do we make it better? And promotions, different types of promotions that you'll see in an elementary school, a middle school, or a high school. So what else do we offer? Constant support, a local food service director, a local district manager, and a local company based right out of here in Islandia. We have different corporate levels of support that are involved each and every day that I speak to or Christine speaks to. The COO, on a daily basis, I speak to about all of my districts. The VP lives right here in Islip. Again, the entire company is based out of Islandia. We have an accounting department that does the entire accounting process for this school district. The marketing department, the procurement department. How about IT, right? God knows we can't do anything without an IT department, right? We wouldn't even be able to function. A nutrition department, a human resource department, and a local culinary center to provide us food. God forbid you can't get it during a pandemic. All of that is all how school lunch runs and what we bring to you. So to keep a program going, we also want to bring recommendations to you, right? And we want to have that collaboration back and forth with the district. So we want to build a better program together. We want to provide you with monthly dining reports to keep everybody up to date on what's happening. That's provided to the administration every month. We want to talk about additional guest chef programs throughout the district. We want to participate with Connecticut in our chefology program, which we actually spoke to Oakdale Bohemia Middle School after we met with that food committee. Sample days and tastings. I know a lot of people are asking for that right now. Nutrition committee meetings. That's where the success is going to happen. We all need to get together and collaborate on the program to see how we're going to make it better for our students. A partnership in health and wellness fairs, garden programs. All of this exists, and all of this we can partner with you. New product testing with students and feedback, and a try it before you buy it product program as well. So currently, right now, we're in survey week. So you'll see throughout your schools, Bob, I'm not sure if it's on the district website, but there's a survey out there right now. We do it twice a year, in October and April, because we want to get the feedback from the students, from the staff, from the administration, nurses, principals, whoever. All feedback is good feedback, no matter what somebody has to say. So those surveys are out there right now. So if you see those out and about, I encourage you, scan the code and give us your feedback so we can make a better program for the students. Your cost is $1.60 a meal. Every single thing I just spoke about, plus actually running the program and serving the kids the food, right? All of that is $1.60 a meal. That's what our expertise gives you for the lowest possible responsible price out there. So I think the value of what I presented, you can actually see, and we'd love to compare it to like the price of a cup of coffee, because that's everything you get for $1.60 a meal. So from our walkthrough, it was really exciting because the administration was able to put together a food committee in the high school and in Ronkonkoma and in Oakdale Bohemia Middle School, right, those three? And we sat with the principal, the APs, students from different grades, and we spoke for about a half an hour. And they told us the good, the bad, the ugly. And I'll tell you, most of it was good. It's never all perfect. There were a lot of opportunities presented to us. And we were able to say, hey, how are we going to feature what you guys want on the menu? So the high school chose a guest chef day. The middle schools chose guest chef days. And then Oakdale ended up partnering with Family Science, right? So we're partnering with Family Science now, and we're actually going to bring our chef into the Family Science classes over there. We're also going to have the principal of Oakdale and a student and some of his friends are actually going to be cooking in the kitchen one day too. So the more we meet as a group and the more we collaborate and the more feedback we get and the more surveys we do and the more involved everybody is, the better the program is. And there's no reason why it can't get better each and every day. And we see it, since school opened now and going forward, especially with the guest chef program. What's that?
We'll start cooking?
Yeah.
And we definitely want to look into bringing in a guest chef more often. I know the contract is up this year,
Yeah.
and it's definitely something that's going to be, I've seen when I went to the school to RMS, and I actually went down and tried the chicken sandwich that he had done, the southern chicken sandwich, that all the kids were running up to me and telling me how great it was. You got to try it. So I went over and tried it. It's definitely, you could tell how excited the kids were, which is really the most important thing. They were excited and they were eating it,
Yeah.
they all talked about it. I spoke to a bunch of parents. They all were saying how great it was. And it seemed like that was what we got across district. It was something that I definitely would like to see, if at all possible. I know we spoke about they come in once a month, but I like it better once a week. I think it's something that I think the kids could at least be excited about, whether it's every Thursday or every Tuesday or it floats. But I think that would be something that would be a lot of fun to start advocating for, so I'm starting now.
Yeah, it's definitely fun, and it gets the excitement and the participation going. And you hope once a child tries school lunch that they'll come back. They may not buy every day, but they may buy 1 or 2 days, as if they didn't buy in the past. So we had the guest chef in Boston Elementary today, and I heard they were and it was a different guest chef that we brought in, and I heard they were raving about him. The lunch count, went 40 or 50 higher for the day, which is what we want to see. Everybody had a great time. They got a nutritious meal. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's a fun time during the day. The kids get to relax a little bit. Everybody loves to eat. You have a chef. They have a snack. It was really a good day today over there. So Christine actually booked the guest chef now for the remainder of the year, once a month, just to make sure that we do visit every single school along the way. They may have different programs in each school, but they will absolutely have the guest chef. I know the secondaries are going to hit a second time around. If I could steal my other guest chefs out of other districts, I absolutely will. But yes, our contract is up this year. So there's a lot to talk about with that, and it's a great opportunity and it's a great time for change. So having food committees meet right now, doing these presentations, visiting the schools, speaking with the kids, looking at, what we have now, what we want to add in, the timing couldn't be better. So, I can definitely make recommendations for that as well if you'd like, and we can add in that program going forward. Sure.
And I want to thank you for your price. I visited the program, I think, last year. So this is not anything per se to do with the program. I like to look at the money on things. So I compared our district to Comac, because we're relatively in size, a couple of hundred difference. So in 2019, Comac had a positive of $80,322. Connecticut was in the red for $305,979. Mind you, Connecticut has 300 approximately less students. Comac's a little bit bigger. In 2020, Comac did lose $90,198. Connecticut lost in 2020 $724,232. Pretty significant, I would say. Comac 2021 was in the positive, $394,589. Pretty curious about that one. Connecticut in 2021 a loss of $566,702. Now, I understand that there's children that don't pay lunch. We have our rollovers. We start back in September with a zero. One year was about 13,000 that we had to do a journal entry for. Another year is about 56,000 of unpaid student lunch. I think we're on the track about 50,000, Bob, 52,000 roughly.
Yeah, that's close.
Okay, so I take all those things in consideration. The other night, I had the opportunity of meeting with a couple of politicians, and I mentioned this. I mentioned our significant food loss. We're pretty much, $724,000, pretty significant. But I did ask the politicians that I spoke to, one, is there any way that they can set up a program to sort of absorb student lunches that are not paid for? And the other thing I asked them to look into is increasing the income levels for those for free and reduced lunch. They said they will look into that for me, because I know as a result of the pandemic, while maybe a certain income looked okay a couple of years ago, we do have families that are hurting. And to raise those income levels so that more of our children can get free and reduced, I think will be great. And that's something I'll be working with the politicians I spoke with. I never looked to make a profit on our lunch program. Break it even a little bit, hey, in the black a little bit, in the red a little bit, that's great. But when I go a few years consistently to, first thing I do is I talk to the kids, then I run to the garbage pails. I'm watching apples, I'm watching whole milks, containers not even open, thrown in the garbage, vegetables thrown in the garbage. And then I look at this. So if my children were eating in that garbage pail, they didn't have the vegetables or the milk or the vegetables, I can suck up losing some money. But when I see both, this board has a responsibility to be fiscally responsible. Would you say this is fiscally responsible? These losses that we're incurring here? It's not. So
Mylan.
I think there should be dug in further to this.
Yeah, Mylan, we all went to the high school and other schools, and we looked in the garbage pail. This year, at the high school, there was nothing, if you find one little thing of apples. So it's not going in the garbage. They seem to be liking the food. I don't understand, the money loss. It's something that's been going on for years. It's
Yeah,
not
it's-
just the last 4 years.
It's unfortunate that the kids don't eat the fruits and vegetables, and unfortunately, we're all paying for that.
One of the things that I wanted to speak about tonight was having an excess bin, because while I disagree with Lee's assessment of the garbage at the schools, I literally saw a kid walk over and dump his apples in the garbage, dump their cheese in the garbage. If we had an excess bin, instead of in the garbage, they could dump it in there. And maybe the nurse can hold on to these items and give them to children. Maybe there's a kid that didn't bring enough food from home, and maybe they could go in the bin and take an extra cheese stick or some apples.
Yep.
I really think that would be much better than instead of throwing it in I literally watched, and I went through all the garbage cans full of
Right.
apple slices. They
We-
just don't want it.
Yeah, we did see that when we were walking through, and we saw one school and how they handled it. And that's definitely an option to get, the nurses on board. Other places have shared tables. You really want to be concerned about allergies, because the aides don't have time for that.
Well, that's why I'm saying in the nurse's office.
Yeah,
she would
exactly.
know, right.
Yeah, it can. And Mylene, I know what you're saying. My son came home from school today, and I said, "What'd you have for lunch?" And he said, "I had nachos." I said, "What else?" He said, "I had chips and beef." I said, "What else?" "Did you have the fruit?" "No." "Did you have the vegetable?" "No." "A milk? A juice? Anything?" "I don't want it." So it's meeting with the students and figuring out what is going to make them eat those fruits and vegetables. Is it a different fruit and vegetable? Is it cooked a different way? Is it presented by a chef? Is it overcooked? Is it undercooked? Is it not the right color? Those are all the things that we need to look at. and then educate our staff on, right? The servers, try it. That's where the sample days come into play. That's where the surveys come into play. But we have to be proactive about it instead of reactive. We're reactive a lot in Connecticut, and I hate to say that. When you talk about Comac, I know that district very well. They were in the red because, yes, we are, but they're very proactive. That entire administration is completely involved with the school lunch program. They're in the schools monthly. They have a very, very strong food committee that's involved in the menu planning, the samplings, wellness fairs, guest chef days. It's been going on for years. During those years, they were so profitable because they took advantage of every opportunity that was out there during COVID. So when COVID hit and everybody shut down, they made so much money, they sent every child to camp for free over the summertime because they instituted a breakfast program in every single school. They applied for every single waiver that was out there. They sent boxes of food home on buses every single day. So Comac turned into a little factory for school lunch. That's why they were so successful all those years. Are they, serving that many meals right now that students have to pay? Absolutely not.
So pointing out what you just said, that information that you got from Comac, we're your client as well, did you share it with our business official to say, hey, by the way, you may have an
Absolutely. It was not Bob, though. Bob wasn't here at that time.
So the business official took your information and basically discarded it because apparently they weren't very fiscally responsible with the taxpayers in this community that pays the taxes.
Yeah, I can't speak for what they did with that information, but I know how many meetings I had about it. So it's getting back to, I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to put blame on anybody.
I don't want to go backwards either.
But I know how to change your numbers. I know how to put you back where you want to be. But I need the support from the district.
Well, last year was $566,000, $702. I mean.
Well, why don't we just start fresh now?
Let's start fresh. We're losing for the last 3 years. We're starting fresh.
More than
At least more than 3 years.
She's explaining how we can maybe turn it around.
I think Leah's saying maybe we can let Bob perhaps help, and with Christine, apply for all the grants or whatever else is available to us. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, and we're headed in that direction already. And I thank, all of you for that because you pushed us in that direction and you came out to the schools and we, collaborated when we went through those schools and you invited us back. And this is exactly what's needed to move your program forward.
I just want you to know, this is not my first conversation about the lunch program. Every year the auditors come in, what do I say, Linda? Every year the auditors come in, same question. So it's not something I question today. I've been on the board for 9 years. I question it every year. And every year it gets worse. And every year the auditor says, well, you're sort of in line with the other districts. Your loss is sort of in line. And then I look, and it's silly me to take the word of the auditor to say, well, we're similarly in line. And then I get Comac's numbers, and I'm like, no, we're not similarly in line. And we're only a difference of 300 or maybe 350 in enrollment. Mm-hmm. I'm not comparing you to a company that is opposite. You're Service Comac.
Right.
So,
One of the biggest difference, Mylan, between Comac and Connecticut is you have 2 employees here from Whitson's. Comac, it's all Whitson's employees. So the labor factor of your numbers is what really needs to be looked at because that's where the programs aren't apples to apples, or one of the biggest areas where they're not apples to apples.
I can appreciate that. Maybe you pay your people $15 an hour, which is minimum wage. I think we've obviously paid slightly higher. I can understand those differences, but I don't think it equates to $724,000 in loss.
No, it doesn't, but when you don't have the participation and you have the high expenses of payroll and benefits, That's how you get to that point.
I think only 1 or 2 people are actually getting benefits. How many?
What?
How many people are getting benefits? 4 people are getting
Oh,
benefits.
they get paid out. Yeah, if they don't receive benefits, they get paid out. But I'll be happy to work with you and put these numbers into a spreadsheet to show
I
you
already did.
how.
Bob will give it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be happy to work on that with you.
Thank you.
I think it'd just be good going forward to look at, we're gonna have to look into our options too. I'm not gonna
Sure.
lie. I mean, we have to look into our options also, just like you said, apples to apples, apples to oranges.
Right.
What other districts are doing and what we can do slightly better, without bringing in less quality food, without, making any issues with our, staff, because I think that one thing that we've all agreed on through the years is we like having our staff. We like having
Sure.
Connecticut people. We like having community residents that actually work here.
Yeah.
So I think that that's going to be something that, it'll all need to be looked into. But at the same time, Mylin, thank you for taking the time to go through the numbers. She's always been excellent with this kind of stuff. And the truth of the matter is, it would just be good to look at it and see where exactly we can tweak things. Because it is true, we shouldn't be that far in the red unless it's staff. So we're going to need to, Bob, possibly have something done where we know this is for staff, this is what we're in the red, we're in the red staff, and this is with you guys, because that's going to make a big difference too. If you're saying what you're saying, but at the same time, I don't have the numbers in front of me to be able to say what is actually staff.
Right.
So I'd rather look at that, Mylin, in the future, maybe have Bob put something together for us in regards to what is the actual staff numbers versus what is the loss in, we're collecting from the school lunches.
From kids, it's not making up a bulk of it. So I would be interested, salary to salary. What you guys are paying in Comac versus what we're paying here in salaries. Because it's not the health benefits. So we know it's salary, so I'm curious.
Yeah, I can,
See, I want to see apples to apples, meaning I want to see what is somebody, I'm just using Comac right now because you brought it up. What is Comac doing that we're not doing, that we have? If it's the staff, then I just want to see, well, okay, take that out because we want to have that. We'll have to figure that out. But I want to know what is the difference, apples to apples, food-wise? In the lunch buying, in how many kids buy lunch versus how many kids here buy lunch, how many get, free lunch or reduced, and how much aid do they get versus how much aid we get?
right, there's a big difference too. You make a good point. Is another district getting more federal and state reimbursement because they have more free and reduced participation than Connecticut does? That makes a big difference also. So yeah, I can give you that information. I did have a conversation with Bob, about you really do need to compare all of that. It's how many people do you need to run your high school compared to that high school? Down to the number of serving lines, down to free, reduced, benefits, part-time, union dues, all of that.
I completely understand. I'd like to see that comparison.
Yeah.
As it is, I was the one that went to a bunch of the schools and was advocating while we were at the schools for extra staff, for more people. I know that that's probably not going to be it, but I really felt that some of the schools are understaffed terribly. Terribly.
Well,
It was, I actually felt very bad for a lot of the workers who, they were explaining to me, there's 2 of them and there used to be 4. Or, in some of these schools, it's very busy. You see the line. I think that's something else we need to look into, but that's something on our end.
Yeah, we definitely see it, especially in the high school, Huntington,
That up. Since you brought that up, so I believe I'm probably using the acronym wrong. So it was, how many meals are served? I think it went by the minute. I think you know what I'm referring to. How many meals per minute?
labor, meals
Correct.
per labor hour.
Right, correct.
Meals per labor hour,
Yes.
yeah.
If you can get a stat comparison.
From Comac, sure.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Can you
Huntington
also-
School District, sorry, Lee, Huntington School District is your apple-to-apple program. They do have more free and reduced students there, but it's the same situation as here. They have Whitson's as a management company, but it's all of their employees. So it's similar in size, it's similar in specifications. So that's another good comparison, only because it's their employees, and you could see how they're running compared to how, Connecticut runs as well.
If you could get
But-
that for us, Bob, thank
But I
you.
would like to see you spend some time in the district talking about what they do in Comac with Bob and what we can do on our end to make it better also. We just can't rely on you. If you say Comac's administration is doing something, we should just join in as well.
Well, I think that's, yes, they're way ahead of the curve right now because they've been doing it year after year after year after year, and they're consistent. 20 years ago, Connecticut had the strongest nutrition committee there was, and it made a difference. And, people changed, management companies changed along the way, other companies came in, and unfortunately, the committee no longer existed. Now that we've started it, it should really be a goal for everybody to keep that going because that absolutely increases participation. When you have students involved, the word gets out, they get involved, your participation goes up. Because they feel like they're part of the program. They feel like they had a voice in something. And when they have a voice, they participate.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director, Mr. Mallory, girls flag football proposal. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Just want to start off by congratulating all our outstanding fall student athletes and coaches. This fall, we had every team make the playoffs. We are in the middle of the playoffs right now. Yep. There's only a few schools on Long Island in each county that achieve that every year, and I'm proud to say that our kids and our coaches did that. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank all the support team, especially the custodians, the buildings and grounds, the chaperones. That's not the most fun job in the world to chaperone some of these games. And I'd like to thank our athletic coordinators and my assistants. But it's been great so far, and we'll keep it rolling and see how far we can go. I'm very, very excited to propose the first varsity girls flag football team potentially here at Connecticut. Last year, the New York Jets and the NFL piloted a program that was kind of like a club program, not an official sport. It went very well. It's a good PR program for the NFL, but more importantly for us, it gives female athletes more opportunity to participate. And quite frankly, anything we do to promote participation in anything after school, whether it be music, art, the clubs, and the athletics, I think is a plus. Anything to reduce cell phone use and computers and kind of keeping kids out of trouble, quite frankly, is certainly an asset. So we're excited about this program. Now it is officially a sport governed by the New York Public High School Athletic Association, just like any other sport, interscholastic sport, and obviously locally governed by Section 11. Pretty minimal in terms of cost. There's really not a lot of equipment, and if we apply, we will get 25 uniforms, home and away uniforms from the New York Jets. They would pay for that cost. They would pay for our flag belts. We would only have to pay for 6 away games in terms of transportation. Obviously, some chaperone and official fees, but given the amount of participation it can create, we think it would be a great asset to our program. We did have a young lady come to my office last year with a list of 30 female athletes that were interested. So we do believe there's an interest, and if approved, obviously we would promote it, and we'd have signups and meetings and see if we could really make this fly. So we're excited, and I thank the board, I thank the central administration and the high school administration for always supporting athletics. Since I've been here, this board has approved the addition of badminton, roughly 75 kids in the spring participating. This board has approved unified basketball and now unified bowling for our special needs population and our athletes. And we're excited that we hope that we can add one more opportunity for kids.
That, that is amazing. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. That's awesome. And I also would love that, I would also love to hear if we can look into that unified cheerleading again.
Yes, we do. Coach Unterweiser has a program with the special needs students do help out or participate with the current cheer team, but Section 11 still does not officially have it as a unified sport, but they do have bowling coming this spring, finally, as an official sport.
And are we still doing the club at the elementary school with the same special needs?
Right, and thanks again
Awesome.
thanks to you
for all
guys
that.
for approving the middle school special needs unified program as well.
Thank
Yes.
you for implementing it and carrying it with your coaches. Appreciate it.
So where are the bowling, where is the bowling gonna take place? On Sunrise or in East Islip?
Bolero on Sunrise, most likely. It's not official, but that's where our regular bowling team bowls, and Section 11 says we'd like to keep it consistent, and hopefully that's where we'll be. They've been great to us over there, so.
Pete, the only question that is a concern potentially is, are you concerned as the AD that we may not get enough athletes out to play both lacrosse and softball if we're pulling for this new flag football league?
Right, so that is the one issue. It's a great question. So the good news is out of the 30 student athletes already interested, only 3 of them also play a different spring sport. So at this time, they would have to choose because Section 11 does not allow dual participation for large schools. So it could, but I'm very happy that we do have very good participation numbers in girls lacrosse, in girls softball, very strong programs. I think it is going to be a major concern in some of the other districts because if you start girls flag football, do you end up folding your girls lacrosse team? And you put kids kind of in a push-pull situation. I believe, and I'm not going to know this till we have the signups and the meetings, I don't believe that's going to be an issue at least year one. And we'll obviously run it as a pilot program, and if we think it's affecting our overall program negatively, it's impacting it in a negatively, we could obviously look into it year 2 and decide whether we want to keep it going.
I think this is great, Pete. Thank you for your help in making this happen.
Thanks. Okay. Good.
I wanted to call for a motion at this time to move forward with this proposal.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good luck, Pete.
All right, thank you. If anybody wants to coach the team, let me know.
Okay, moving on to Board of Ed topics. We have committee reports. Do any of the board members have any committee reports?
I do.
Go ahead.
So the Mental Health Committee met on October 4th. So actually, this week is United We Stand for a Drug-Free Community Week. All the schools are participating. They're all doing their own Spirit Week, and they have presentations coming in. My son actually told me about OBMS had the guy from The Deadliest Catch came in and spoke to them today. He was actually very excited about that. He never tells me much about school, but he mentioned that. We did our bully prevention contest that Lee advocated for so much. That actually went over very well. We had tons and tons of kids that presented their contest, and we have the list of the winners. Hopefully we can thank them and award them at one of our Board of Ed meetings coming up. So one thing that the Mental Health Committee did do is they made a newsletter, the Wellness Wheelhouse newsletter, which I know a lot of districts have been sending it out on the Remind, or a lot of schools, and it's also going to be in the district tab of the school district website. Screenagers is November 2nd at 6:30 at OBMS. That's the next chapter. You do have to register for that, but I think you can go on the day of if you can't happen to, right? Yes, you can do that. So that's November 2nd, that's next week. They're also looking at another workshop called Attendance Matters. That's going to be 3 Tuesdays in a row, and why attendance in school matters. And I know that there are some children that don't like to go to school, and there's aversions to school, so that's a good workshop for parents. And, yep, that looks like that's all I have.
I went to the transportation meeting, and we definitely have a shortage of bus drivers. They're looking at different routes. They talked about the cameras that, if you pass a bus, you get a $250 fine because they have the cameras. And a little hint, everyone, even on a 4-lane road, if a bus is stopping and you're on this side, you have to stop as well, even though there could be a center. Otherwise, you'll get a ticket as well. They talked about, the shortage. They talked about bus drivers being sick. And I have to tell you, it's an amazing department because they're short so many bus drivers, and they still do their job. They're working really hard. So they deserve a little respect and a little thank you. And you should, parents tell your kids to say thank you to the bus driver because they're really there for them. I listen to them quietly speaking, and they're always trying to make it better. They're trying to find a way all the time. They're an amazing group of people. And they also learn about your child's needs if there's a problem on the bus. So it's a tough job. It's a tough job, an important job, because the safety of your children.
I attended the Health and Safety Committee meeting, and I'm going to ask John Allen to speak a little bit. I'm just going to say something, then John, you can, we're looking into some equipment that the district might need, some things that need to be probably looked into buying, like radios and some other bigger equipment, looking into vehicles and things like that, but I'm going to let John.
So thank you. Thank you for attending the meeting the other day as well. The two big things that we did discuss were, as we're coming into the budget season, verifying that all the equipment that we have throughout the district, the grounds equipment, the food service equipment, maintenance equipment is all meeting the expectations and the needs so that we don't have any health or safety issues with the people on the roads. So that was first and foremost. We're going through that assessment process right now. The other thing that came up was of note was the work order process. Last month, our director of facilities retired. He is since back with us for a few days, so thankfully I have a little bit of support. But during that time, I started getting involved a little bit more in the work order system, and one of the biggest concerns is not having a good hierarchy established in the system so that we're able to quickly address the health and safety requests as they come in for each of the buildings. So we're currently looking at that. We're looking at getting together with School Dude, changing that hierarchy, cleaning up some of the routing that's going on so that we can address those issues that are more of the health and safety and in the individual classroom areas that much quicker. So those are the two big things that came from it. Our next meeting isn't until January. So anything that we find relating to those two things, we may be proposing equipment. I can't say that for sure at this point because we're still going through that assessment. But we'll also be looking at the software that we use for the work order system and whether or not we need to reevaluate that and whether or not it's still meeting the district needs. So those are the two big items.
Thank you very much, John.
So as part of the United We Stand for a Drug-Free Community, every child in the high school will be handed out this 911 overdose card that if you see an overdose, call 911 immediately. Unfortunately, this past weekend, there was a death on a college campus of a child that they felt, a student at that college, that they felt that the friends were worried and nervous about calling 911 because they were worried that they were themselves imbibing in drugs or alcohol. And what this is all about is so that our students know or our adults know that if there's someone in their presence who they feel may have overdosed on either drugs or alcohol, that you are actually protected by the Good Samaritan law. So if you call and try to save someone's life, you cannot get in trouble for having had those substances yourself. So these posters will be throughout the school, just to remind folks that, go for help, get the help, call for help if you ever see someone who you believe has overdosed or is in need of medical attention. And every high school student will be getting this card, which is 911, and it actually tells you about what signs and symptoms you should be looking for. So that will be handed out in the high school this week.
Can I just piggyback on that? I heard that their teachers were offered Narcan training. Narcan.
So that's offered very regularly. I don't think it was necessarily just offered to the teachers. I think it was offered to the community.
Okay, well, I'm a community member. How do I sign on?
Sure, so they have it in the library often, but I can get you the next time that there's
I thought we
training.
were doing it in district, no?
The next
It's
one is
tomorrow.
tomorrow. The next one is tomorrow, and there's three sessions, because Suffolk is coming in to do it. So there's 3 sections. I'll give you the info after the meeting. I have it.
Okay,
It's tomorrow. There's definitely one that's at 2:45. I saw it. It's definitely in the afternoon. I have it by email.
I think Ms. Pisani sent it in an email to us.
Yeah, we all got an email.
So it's tomorrow at John Pearl at 4:45 to 5:30. That's the community session. John Pearl.
The one at 2:45, is that employees?
I'm not sure, but
Okay.
the 4:45 to 5:30 specifically says community
Okay,
session.
no problem. I just saw that there were 3 sections, that's why, 3 talk. And the last thing that I was gonna go over was, there was children that we were supposed to honor at the last board meeting, and we pushed it off. It's gonna be for next November 15th, this November 15th. It's the superintendent's 100 Club, the children who received the 100 on Regents, and there's a whole lot of them, and we're so excited. So you will be notified, parents, so that you know and you're able to come and celebrate with them, their achievement. It will it will be November 15th. No, tentatively right now, November 15th, but you will be notified. Okay, moving on, if nobody has anything else? Okay. I now will open the first public portion of the public comment. This public comment period is for consent agenda items only. An additional public comment period will be held later in the meeting. Please raise your hand if you have a question or comment on a consent agenda item only. If no one raises their hand, continue, that's me. Okay, then we have a number 1. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president only. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to consent agenda items only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for 1 or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. If members of the audience speak out of turn, the board may consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with policy 1230, public speaking will not exceed, 30 minutes. We will be voting on for the next 30.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a quick comment on item 22, the letter of thanks to the Suffolk County Police Department for the 5th Precinct. And I think I speak for many parents and Connecticut residents when I echo the thanks from the board. We too are extremely grateful for their service to the community. The letter mentions homecoming, which I did go to, and it was a wonderful event, as all of our home varsity football games, I've gone to them, and they are wonderful. We do truly have an amazing district, and I love seeing how we do come together to support all students, even though they're not our own. I don't have a child in high school, but it's definitely, it's wonderful to go to. The letter also mentions the last Board of Education meeting on October 11th. So I just want to thank the police officers for your presence at that meeting. During the rally, which comprised of about probably 80% non-Connecticut residents, children did arrive on a bus, probably back from a sporting event. So I want to thank them for their service and for keeping those children safe. We are blessed to have such an amazing partnership with our local police department, so thank you again to the police for your dedicated service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who has any comment on the consent agenda? Yeah, we're good. About this? No, but is it about, we're moving on to? We're moving on to recommended action. Is it the consent agenda?
from, and she's from Copeg, but she started telling me about everything they did in their science research program. So I took her name, and I was hoping that, John Halloran, who's doing a great job here, they could work together, maybe he can learn something, maybe she can learn something. So I got her phone number, and I'd like to pass it on to Christina to perhaps have them call her so we can see what we might be able to learn to improve, or what they can learn to improve.
That's great.
Okay, that's one. The other thing I'd like to talk about quickly is not the rap room. The rap room is gone. It went because, what? No, it went because we had COVID. So anyway, but what I'm requesting now is if we can have a social worker in there, because there are students in the in-school suspension room, because there are students that just sit in there. We don't know why they did what they did. They're good kids, they do bad things. Could have had a bad day at home, could have had a fight with their friend, and they're sitting in this room now sulking after they've done something wrong. So maybe there should be someone in that room to talk to them. If we had someone there for a short while that stopped, could we bring something like that back?
So that's a discussion that the board could have either during budgeting season, where we, look at all the staffing, or to look at the staffing that we currently have and move someone around. I mean, the administration and myself can look at what we have staffed and
I
see
think
what
that,
would.
we have quite a few social workers, and I was hoping, it's time. We worry about these kids, but they need someone to talk to. They need someone to talk to. And, but a social worker.
We'll put together something.
Okay.
We'll put together the staffing.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Anybody, Brian, Marisol, anybody? You guys are good? All right, moving on. Recommended action, personnel matters, instructional and non-instructional. Can I please have a motion to approve all personnel schedules as presented?
Second.
And are there any questions? No. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion so carries. Consent agenda, can I please have a motion to approve items 2 through 22? Are there any questions? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion so carries. Now we're moving on to the public comment. I will now open the floor to the open public comment portion of the agenda. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. You should have received a numbered card from security on your way in. If you have not, please see a security guard in the back of the room. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president only. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. If members of the audience speak out of turn, the board may consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend the time. Can I have number 1 step up to the podium if they'd like to speak?
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, make a motion that there'll be no more numbers collected at this time.
How many numbers are there?
28.
That's fine.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Good evening, everybody. I don't know if everybody had seen the scores of the children of 4th and 8th grade in math and reading, and in that they have dropped 8 points in math and 4 points in reading. I just want to say that the teachers, that our children right now, this generation, is the era of technology, okay? I think that the teachers need to start focusing on STEM, math, keep the schools for education, not stirring the pot, bringing other things in, distracting our children from learning. I want to stop the argumentative with the teachers and the students. My son comes to school. He's very upset about the things that are going on in his classroom. School is for education. Teachers are to do their job. I know last year my son had failed, and they're supposed to be the mentors. You guys are all supposed to be our children's mentors. They're supposed to learn from you, okay? Oh, you're right. You're right.
Can you just
Yes,
speak to me,
sorry.
please?
Sorry, but they are their mentors. They need to put all of this stuff aside and focus on bringing up the scores in the math, reading, and science. They have all failed their kids. It's very sad that they are arguing about flags and not test scores. School's for an education, and we as a community pay you all a lot of money to teach our kids and not indoctrinate them. Last year, I had spoken about the books in the high school. I know, Linda, you had to put behind the librarian's desk. You said that maybe it would disappear in the summer. Is it still behind the desk?
It is still accessible in the library.
It's still accessible in the library. I think all of those schools for our children should be pulled out of the schools. I don't think any children should be looking at anything pornographic. As the police officer said, it could be anybody molding your child, grooming them, okay? It starts in school. This is where they are most of their time, okay? Stop forcing a hate flag, which causes division. It's not inclusion. The regular rainbow flag was for all equal. We are all for that. We were. But this is an American school. We should only be having the American flag. I pay for the school building.
If the audience can't control themselves, I will call a recess.
I pay for the classroom. I pay for the teacher. I pay for this building. And this, as a community, we pay you. So that's it.
Thank you. Number 2, and I expect everyone to let the people speak, however they're going to speak and whatever they're going to say. If there's a problem, I will call a recess. Is there a number 2? Last call. Number 3. Number 4.
Good evening. I'm here as a parent of 2 children that attend Connecticut School District. Teachers have an obligation to make all students feel safe, no matter their beliefs, identity, sexuality, or political views. Our Connecticut students, all of the students, have a right to be who they are and belong to what makes them feel safe and comfortable. If someone questions their sexuality and is having a hard time dealing with any other issues, doesn't a teacher need to refer the child to a qualified medical health specialist? Why are they interrupting a math class and not the mental health specialist? Sexuality is not part of a math, English, social studies, or science in the New York State curriculum. We need to stand for all children. We need to let every child know bullying in any form is not acceptable. Sexuality is not what builds character. It doesn't define who we are. Wearing a t-shirt, hanging a flag, putting stickers up in school about your sexuality is not going to build productive adults. All of our children, whether they are gay, straight, bisexual, transsexual, black, brown, or white, deserve to know that their sexuality doesn't make them a victim or define them. We need to build character in all of our children. We need to show them that their sexuality is a piece of them, and they are all so much more. We in the Connecticut community need to stand up for all of our students. And if we don't do that for our children, then we have failed as a society. Children need to learn more about themselves, their character, what they like, their friends, a sport, a game, books, acting, and just being kids. I believe the decision that was made for our students was the right decision made by our superintendent. Jackie Napolitano and our board had nothing to do with that decision. However, her and Lee Kennedy felt the same way. So when you bash one board member, you can bash the other, but may not fit your narrative. The flag can go up when the club meets. Sexuality does not define any human being. We are so much more than that. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 5?
At the last meeting, I was trying to speak, but I couldn't due to the non-resident crowd trying to drown me out with laughter, profanity, and booze within the first 5 seconds of when I opened my mouth. Kind of makes it look like they were aware of who I was. They were ready to strike at any moment. But unfortunately for them, I am a resident. I come to almost every Board of Education meeting, and I speak at almost every Board of Education meeting. So although our CTA leadership was on video laughing and smirking when Jackie had to call the recess, sorry, I get the last laugh. Because if he wants to keep pretending to fight for contracts, he's going to have to listen to me every single meeting, because I will be up here. You cannot silence me. You will not silence me. And any further attempts to silence me with boos and jeers and bullying will be considered targeted harassment of a private citizen. Good luck with that. I was trying to explain how CRT, under multiple names of SEL and DEI, have infiltrated not just our district, but many districts. It's only about segregation based on beliefs, lifestyle, culture, gender, race, etc. What we witnessed at the last meeting was a direct result of that pedagogy. Sadly, the CTA representation thrives on and fosters this division, and they allowed outside infiltrators who are looking to capitalize on lies to incorrectly define what it means to be Connecticut. Their behavior was actually a disgrace to the LGBT community. There's video footage of them heckling me, Jackie's dad, many other parents, not only in the room, but outside. It continued. Ironically, the progress flag design is allegedly political and supports violence, and the behavior of those draped in it, apparently they acted accordingly. That is what we saw. This community overwhelmingly supported Jackie last election, and the CTA forgets that her fan club won by a landslide. So I hope that our community realizes that the last meeting was all a show that included a D-class actor from New York City making a sad attempt to mock parents. Under the direction of CTA representation, you could even hear him yelling, "Let him speak," while the guy was doing his pathetic performance. I hope people realize that after losing last year's election, the CTA has nothing left except public bullying tactics and temper tantrums. I also hope our faculty and staff can see that every time CTA leadership runs to the media and they drag our T-Bird through the mud with lies, I hope they realize that it's the CTA that guides them to be very divisive, and they need to actually realize that we, the parents, and the Board of Education, we're not the enemy. We want them to have fair contracts. You're with our children for 6 hours a day. But how could any parent respect this union when they bring in the failing organization they did that clearly only wants to fund their millions of dollars in losses based on lies? We're nothing more than a charitable opportunity for them. How could any parent respect this union when the leadership allows said organization to publicly heckle and verbally harass parents? You think we want to give you more money so your leadership can continue to abuse us and you? Is that your leadership's definition of respect? No one in their right mind would agree to do such a thing. So you know what? You want respect, then quit demanding it and start earning it. Start by replacing your CTA representation. They have unchecked power, and they're using it to abuse our community. Both the parents and the teachers, and they're also abusing the kids. Find the courage. You have to put the kids first. Find the courage to stand up against them, and rest assured, the winning Jackie fan club will stand behind you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Moving on to number 6. Is there a number 6?
Good evening, Connecticut. I'm speaking.
Can the audience contain themselves? Otherwise, we will take a recess. I won't say it again.
I don't speak often. I don't speak in public forums, but tonight I'm going to stir things up a little bit. Parents and children today face massive challenges as our education system has been reduced to methods that have dumbed down our generations. Schools have now introduced SEL, mental health lessons permeating our classrooms with divisive and disconcerting language, programs with an occultist backbone that need to be addressed and removed. The last board meeting was disheartening. There was finger-pointing and accusatory statements, attacks over the removal of a particular flag. However, our founding fathers stated and wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All humankind is represented under our American flag, regardless of color, race, and creed." There was a courageous woman who dared ask, and here's where I'm going to stir things up. She dared ask, "What about God?" Immediately, people jeered and gasped, yelling, "Church and state," a statement we've been trained to accept. However, Dr. Benjamin Rush, signer of the Declaration of Independence and one of America's leading educators, knew and stated that if the Bible was removed from schools, there would be widespread misbehavior and an increase in crime. George Washington, our first president, reminded Americans in his farewell address that religious teachings and values must never be removed from politics and public policy, schools being one of those public arenas. Separation of church and state is not constitutional. In a letter written by Thomas Jefferson, he made clear, and I quote, "That wall of separation was not to limit public religious expression, but rather to provide security against governmental interference with those expressions, whether private or public." Jefferson repeatedly affirmed that the sole purpose of the First Amendment was to ensure that the federal government could not interfere with public religious expressions, and that includes public schools. The very foundation of America, our public arenas, our schools, are based on God and Judeo-Christian principles. The Bible, prayer, and the Ten Commandments were never meant to be removed. It's time to wake America and make America God's again.
Thank you. Number 7, please. Is there a number 7? A number 8. A number 9. A number 10.
Hello, my name is Marissa Freeman and I'm a senior at Connecticut High School. So school is supposed to be a safe place for all students, all of them. The forcing of one teacher to take down their progressive pride flag started a downward spiral of negativity and fear throughout the entire district. Students are being targeted and harassed because of their sexual orientation and skin color, and the aggressors of these violent acts are not receiving any disciplinary action. The safety of the students in your school has been compromised severely based on your actions, and you've done nothing about it. Safety is something that the Connecticut Board and Administration think is very important, or so they claim. For example, at the administration's initiative, all doors throughout the entire building are to be locked and closed at all times. This may seem like a good idea in theory, but it does in fact have a few flaws. Like for example, class time is constantly interrupted by letting students re-enter the classroom. Lessons are constantly interrupted, and sometimes students have to stop doing their work to open the door for one of their peers. But how is that good? Because it affects my education, because I constantly have to be stopped in between lessons every 5 minutes. But anyway, all doors are supposed to be locked, right? But then how come the doors by the music hall and the cafeteria are commonly left unlocked after school hours? And then how come a student entered an unlocked door after school hours and while he was unsupervised, put up United States of America flags all over Pride memorabilia? This memorabilia was not the progressive pride flag, it was rainbow hearts and safe space flyers. This student was originally suspended, but the supervision was overturned almost immediately. Also, a few days ago, there was a lockdown in between class periods, and many students struggled to get into the classroom because the doors were locked. Teachers were advised to use their best judgment on whether or not to open the door. Our teachers do not have SWAT training. How are they supposed to know whether a student is in danger or is the danger? God forbid something happens, how are students supposed to feel safe if they can't even enter a classroom? So now that we established that our school isn't as safe as it seems, let's talk about the danger you put your LGBTQ students in. You took away their safe space. Sometimes school is the only place where students can be themselves and express themselves in a positive light. At the last meeting, many people discussed the mental health effects of what you were doing, but I guess you aren't really that concerned about it. But I am. I want my classmates to feel safe and protected within our Connecticut halls. I want them to feel proud of who they are and not hide from themselves. So put the flags back up and protect the children that go to your school. And please, stop being so hypocritical with the policies that you put in place. And also, I have the petitions you asked for last time. So thank you.
Number 11, please.
You can leave the petitions right on the stage. Thank you.
Is there a number 11?
Hello. My name is Jack. I'm a senior. I spoke at the last meeting, but due to a lack of action, I am back. Thanks. At the last meeting, my friends and I got up in front of what might have been the most volatile audience that this school board has ever seen because we felt like we had to. Firstly, I'm impressed with how fast the Facebook parents ran to their phones to call us union plants and completely disregard everything we had to say. Congrats, guys. We knew that something needed to happen, and yet even after you heard all the emotional statements that we made, you have decided to do nothing. I'm here asking you guys, please just do the right thing and let the flag go back up. Ever since this ban has gone into effect, things in our school have not been the same. The debate over the flag has spilled out of Facebook and into our halls, which has had the opposite effect that the board has wanted. You claim to have wanted our schools to be a place of neutrality, but because of the unwanted action that you guys took, our school has turned into the next battlefield in the culture war. I am also happy to report that after some investigating, I have still yet to find any person who spends their time barking and meowing in class. We are the only school district on Long Island that decided a pride flag was worth sending our community into disarray. There must be a reason it's just us. I have never seen our school be mentioned in so many articles until just now. Is this what we want to be known for? Is this what our board wants to be known for? My request is basically the same as before. I want the flag back up and an apology from the board for causing this whole mess. I'm aware that just the public comment is not enough to make you guys hear us, so I'm asking the board to meet with my friends and I to discuss what comes next in the situation. A meeting where when we speak, you listen and respond might be the only way we can get through this with a little dignity and our district's favorite word, a little respect. I'm not sure what needs to be said to make you guys understand what we are saying, but until I figure it out, I won't stop. And also, while I'm here, I need to say, America has no official religion, so there's a reason that we have separation of church and state. Fact, LOL. And as a student in Connecticut, our teachers are doing great. I don't know why you guys want to attack them all the time. It's kind of unneeded, but thanks, guys.
Please address me. You're addressing me, not the public. Thank you. Number 12. Number 12. Please address me.
Great, am I good? All right, hello everyone. My name is Daniela and I'm a senior here at the high school. I'm here again to talk about this policy, and I'd like to start by quoting our Board of Education's mission statement found on our district website. It states, to prepare all children for life by providing them with the best education, regardless of their abilities, at the most reasonable cost, to help members of our community respect one another, to promote the mental, physical, and social well-being of the children of the community. Let me repeat that last sentence for you. to promote the mental, physical, and social well-being of the children of the community. Ironic, because I truly feel that that last sentence is being ignored. The only students that have been here talking to you directly are on one side, and yet our Board of Education has continually ignored them. Both students and teachers pleaded at the last meeting for you guys to reverse this policy. That respect part of the mission statement is lacking severely on your end. I don't understand how you guys can listen to so many teachers and students speak and just to disregard us like we're nothing. Like, how respectful? Since this ban has been put into place, I can tell you for a fact that the well-being of the children in our community has gotten worse. Remember that peaceful petition that we passed around right there? Well, there was another petition for the opposite side, which is well within their right, like no one's claiming that it's not. But here's the kicker, our queer youth were being targeted. They were being bullied into signing that petition, and it's just not a great situation. Here's another example for me personally. I've decided to wear a pride pin on my shirt and backpack every day since this policy, I guess you could say. And on 2 different occasions, by 2 different people, I've been yelled at in hallways to take the pin off. And there were curses in there, so I'm not going to repeat that, but I have been told in the hallways to take that pin off. Final thought, this is just kind of going off of what my peer said. It's to my attention that the students that were speaking at the last meeting are being brought up on Facebook groups with parents. Just a few posts that I've read called me and my friends really rude names, like pawns of the union and just uneducated, indoctrinated. I don't like being called that one, but yeah. I think bullying is a big problem at Connecticut, and as I did state at the last meeting, I think it starts from Facebook. I think that is just the main root of all these issues. Sorry, I could tell you for myself that this ban, which was intended to make one student more comfortable, has backfired majorly. I'm a student telling you here and now that my well-being has gone down. So to make one student more comfortable, you have completely disregarded your own mission statement and this, okay.
Please keep your comments to
Okay.
yourselves, or I'm
All
going
right,
to
well,
call
my
a recess
time's
and
up,
I'm
and
not
I guess
gonna
I was
say that.
interrupted, so.
Jesse, we're over 30 minutes, correct? I have to call for a motion?
No, we have 6 more minutes.
6 more minutes, we're good to go then. Number 13?
Hello, I have a topic, well, 3 that I'd like to change the pace of this meeting to. A couple days ago, I was denied and laughed at by a staff member because I was struggling to get cell service, and I was denied usage of the bathroom. And it was right at the end of the period, and as a student with an IEP, will that be another struggle I have to get an accommodation on my IEP? The second issue I would like to talk about was I was taking a test last Friday, and the testing room was completely empty with the lights on. I even waited outside for about 5 minutes. So my question is, what do I have to do if my accommodations are not your priority? I understand that a teacher may have to use the bathroom, but what do I have to do so I'm not wandering the hallways if that's your top priority? Third, last Tuesday, there was a girls' basketball workout, and some random kid came in stating that he was walking around the hallways just for fun. That made me very uncomfortable that a kid, about 8:10 at night, just came in casually disrespecting my fellow players and our coach because this was basically a sports practice. Out of these 3 issues, what are your main concerns? Ava Craig, and I'm a 10th grader. Ava Craig, and I'm a 10th grader. Okay. JodyCraig26@gmail.com. Have fun.
Okay, number 14, thank you. Number 14.
Hi, everyone. I am B. Mart, AP Psychology and Research teacher. And I just want to go back to that Facebook problem we're having. So I read your Facebook, Jackie, and you really think that wearing a black shirt with respect is what is hurting our kids? Then you're not listening to the 40-plus kids who came to talk to you at the last meeting. Blasting negative comments on Facebook, not respecting teachers, screaming at board meetings, using scare tactics and bias, demanding a flag that has absolutely no political connection to be removed from a classroom, blocking social and emotional learning because you twisted it to align with your interpretation of CRT, even though it is not aligned with CRT. You don't think that is what is hurting students? You're worried about your son feeling anxious, but now I'm hearing rumors that you are thinking about taking our mindfulness room away, a place for students and staff to take a breath, release anxiety, escape harassment and bullying, a place you yourself told me that you wish you had when you were a kid. That is not hurting students. It is my wearing a black shirt and walking in with my colleagues in a peaceful protest of not having a contract that is intimidating children. I talk to hundreds of students a day. And who do you speak to? Your sons? Do you really know what's going on in the school? Who is using kids as collateral damage? 'Cause
I would
know
appreciate
it
you
is
not bringing
me.
my child up
Okay.
while you're
I
speaking to
apologize.
me
I
in a
apologize.
professional
It was
manner.
in a Facebook post,
I
so I
also
apologize.
would like
Anyway,
to make it very
I
clear,
apologize.
I don't
said
remember
sorry.
ever speaking to you.
Anyway, you say
Please
I
stop
don't earn
the
your
time.
respect for
Please
22
stop the
plus
time.
years. I have given my whole
When
self
you
to this school
disrespect
district. But
a
more
child,
importantly, to the
there's a
students
problem.
of this school district. I have maintained friendships with hundreds of students. Letters from parents and students that I asked my family to put them up at my funeral instead of my pictures. That is how much students mean to me. Don't tell me I haven't earned respect. To be honest with you, I stood up at a union meeting recently saying I was uncomfortable wearing a shirt that said respect. I also hate how I look in t-shirts. But because I always felt that I was respected by my students and their parents and my administration and even by central office. But because of your actions, I now see I was wrong and the union was right. And that's hard to say for a little fiery Italian. You don't understand what we do. You only look at what you can find wrong with us. You all worry about me swiping my badge, theft of service, I believe I was told. Meanwhile, I come in every day to prepare my lessons early. If I leave 5 minutes early, though, I have stolen from you. I stay late to work with students, prepare my classroom, ask any security guard or custodian. They know me because I'm always working, never asking to be compensated, doing it because my students need me and because I want to. I spend my afternoon today buying pumpkins, candy, and decorations for the anti-bullying club, to whom I treat to pizza every week out of my own pocket, not to take away from this club's funds. I do unpaid extra help the whole month of April every year. I'm feeding my students breakfast, lunch, dinner at every extra help. My students scored 30% plus higher globally and New York State on their AP Psych exam this year. Don't tell me I'm not teaching your children. Don't tell me that. I haven't earned your respect. You want to use children as a political pawn? Not in my classroom. We have honest debates where my students are open and able to talk to each other. I am not the one that is disrespectful and using children. You are. And board, I'm ashamed of all of you. You need to speak up.
Number 15.
Good evening. So here we are again with nothing resolved. I will start by saying how proud I am of the students who have showed up again to support such an important issue. They have spoken with such an eloquence that I, as a parent, am so very proud of all of you, my own children included, and their group of friends that are like my own. I am grateful to the staff here in the Connecticut community, and together we must work together to continue to support all of our students. Not only the ones that are here tonight, but those that are afraid because of the lack of support at home and now at school. At the last meeting, you asked for the petition that was going around showing support of returning the flags to be sent to school, to the central office, and now you have them. Now the students are collecting signatures that are against the flag. I'm supporting that too. However, they've been bullied because of that. So by creating this issue of wanting to support everybody, you're initially inviting the bullies to become more of the aggressor. And that's a problem that, as was stated, has not been addressed. So as an educator, which I am, I'm here to tell you that I always let my parents know that we are part of a village. As a village, we are failing our children. You are the leaders of our village. It is your responsibility to take charge of the situation and make a decision, an action, a plan to help our children. Our children pleaded with you last week, told you that there are children that have thoughts of suicide, thoughts of hurting themselves because they don't feel safe. It's a flag. To me, it's a flag. To them, it's more than a flag. They've told you that. Please, don't just listen to them, but hear them. Have a conversation with those that it affects the most and talk to them. There has to be a solution. Yes, there's something we can do. You have to let them know that they matter enough in this village. Your job. That's what the leaders do. They lead. You lead all. When it's hard, you have to stand up for everyone. They're asking you to stand up for them because they don't feel safe at home and now they don't feel safe in school. To my colleagues to the left that I won't look at because I will address you, I thank you. You are here doing everything because you've raised my children to be strong women that can stand up here and speak to you. So I know they're doing their job. They're here before school. They're here after school. And they deserve every penny they're getting, and they deserve what they're not getting as well. Thank you. Have a good night.
Number 16.
Hello. By that hello, you know that I'm the father of that hello right there. So if you don't know me, it's because I don't come to these meetings, but I've been to the last two. Why am I here on a Tuesday night? Why am I running into my kitchen, filling out 3 pages to write with you, and then standing in the parking lot and writing another page for another protest? Because why? Because you don't like if a guy kisses a guy or a girl kisses a girl? It's 2022. Have we not been through enough in this world that who cares? Right? What is the point of this? I ask you this. At this point, the kids aren't winning. At this point, the teachers aren't winning. So after you took your shirt off and you exposed yourself in what was a power struggle and for you to exert dominance last week, after that, that showed me that you're a bully. You took your ball and left. You gave us a 20-minute timeout. Then you canceled the meeting because you didn't like what we said. You looked at me with hatred in my eyes. You stared at me. She's not going to call a timeout because it's her buddies that are doing that. The problem is this. You don't care.
We'll take a 5-minute recess. I said recess.
I get a recess. That's what you do. Take your ball and go home again.
Actually, I don't even need a motion because they gave me the authority. Recess. All in favor? Aye. Aye.